I had this feeling that all that generation had gone through the agony of the First World War. And not that they were cavalier about death, but in a way death had no hold on them. It had nothing more to teach them save that of their own.
Because they saw a different kind of death, the kind that they didn't have what we had, which we have TV, and we've seen death depicted fictionally and not. They saw it differently.
Oh, you know, it was like to do this research was like a journey through the twilight shadow of hell. I mean, think about this. Before World War I, cremation didn't exist as a way of dealing with the dead. After the war, it became the preferred form for tens of thousands who had lived 4 years and 4 months in the presence of rotting cadavers of dead soldiers. So the war had such an impact on every single phase. And so my thought was that maybe life mattered less in the moments of being alive. And because of their experiences in the war, Mallory and his colleagues and comrades were prepared to accept a level of risk that might have been unimaginable before the war. And it was that kind of risk and that kind of courage that Everest demanded.
Let me present another scenario to you. And I only raise this because I experienced it when I was lucky enough to interview Farley Mowat, who's told some great stories about the wilderness in this country. It's not just about the risk. He also experienced the war. How much of it for these guys was it just to get away from humanity? So risk was not as, like it was part of it, but just get away.
Well, that's actually a very profound thing you just said, because in the wake of the war, so many men, there was a chasm that existed between those who had lived at the front and those who had stayed home and often profited from the war. And in the wake of the war, there was this feeling that people had to get away anywhere. You know, so people traveled all around the world just to feel the heat of the tropics. Men who had, been in the marble landscape of winter at Ypres and had the shells shatter the ground around them. They just wanted to get away. And in part, that's what Everest was. It became a sentinel in the sky. And if the desire to climb Everest before the war was kind of a gesture of imperial redemption for an empire of explorers that had lost the race for the North and South Poles, in the wake of the war, when so many had suffered, it became kind of a mission of regeneration for a nation bled white by war.